Can the Arizona Cardinals win check notes back-to-back games for the first time in 3 years, Bo Brack?
Well, they're going to have to do it with what we thought were going to be some reinforcements for the Cards this week. We'll tell you who's out, who's in for the Packers on Sunday. It's PHNX Cardinals now.
Hey, friends, it's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star. Bo Brack is back. I'm Johnny Venerable. Shane Deef, the Deef, behind the mic today. Damon is off. He'll be back on Sunday. We got Craig Morgan, PHNX Cardinals beat reporter, stopping by later. He's been in Utah. He's going to Green Bay. Tons of stuff to talk about, including our presenting sponsor for today's show, Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer. Find out why it's never ordinary with our friends at Bet365. Are you betting on the Cardinals to get a dub at Lambeau Field? I was actually there the last time they did that. Josh Rosen, circa 2018, upset Aaron Rodgers, got Mike McCarthy fired. I would love that same energy from the Redbirds come Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time, Bo.
Yeah, probably not somebody getting fired after this loss, but losing to that 2018 team is certainly a fireable offense. But what's going on to everybody out there in the chat? How about Shaft saying it's a family podcast? He's absolutely right. This is it's family time. We're all one big family together, hanging out.
It used to be a family show.
Richard, The Art of Being Freed, Tommy, Gray Mantle, Ozzy, Jess, everybody's here. Everybody's ready to have a great time and preview this game after a big surprising comeback win in week 5. We had on the week 6 to face pretty interesting Packers team, Johnny, that I think is led by Jordan Love, who is an interesting quarterback to break down because you got lots of stats that you can cherry pick, make them look really good. And also you could get some stats you can look at. He looks pretty mid.
Yeah, we missed you on the Wednesday show. Damon did an excellent job filling in. But I feel like you and I haven't had a chance to talk about this game very much because when the Cardinals get a dub, we celebrate for like at least 72 hours on this podcast, right? So it's time to pull up our big boy pants and get serious about a very winnable game for the Arizona Cardinals via our friends at Bet365. The presenting line right now is right around 5.5 in favor of the Packers. But I think this is a very winnable game for Arizona to tell you why. Because I think the Cardinals match up incredibly well with Green Bay. I think Green Bay is very susceptible to mobile quarterbacks like Kyler Murray. It's just going to come down to, can this defense continue to play above their skis? Like if we get a similar defensive performance that we saw from last week, if you go back and check the tape, I would encourage everybody to watch the Brian Baldinger piece that we did that dropped yesterday. The coaching that Nick Rallis did against Kyle Shanahan, if he is able to duplicate that per Baldy, like Cardinals are going to win a lot more games and they can be patient while this offense kind of catches up. Whereas is this going to be a defensive performance in which we saw against, God forbid, Jaden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury? Like it's very much Jekyll and Hyde, but that comes with the inconsistency and the non-pedigree this team has of chalking up consecutive dubs.
Yeah, what do we know about the Green Bay Packers? They're a very young team. There's a lot of excitement around this team that won a playoff game last postseason, and it seemed to kind of catapult them to the forefront of everybody's kind of talking points throughout the offseason. Like, oh, the Packers, youngest team in the league, but man, did they arrive ahead of schedule. Look out for them. They're a freight train from hell. Yeah. They're not going anywhere. And one thing that we seem to discount is with the youth comes inconsistency. And really with Jordan Love, you know, you look at his season last year, it was a bit kind of hot and cold, and he went on this run and seemed to kind of put himself in a position to, you know, have a rock solid first year. And people are like, oh, well, he's the real deal. But, you know, beyond that, he's definitely dealt with some issues, including this season. When you look at the interception numbers, Johnny, 5 picks. He's played in 3 games. He's a guy that has kind of an affinity for turning the ball over. And like you said, like the matchup already seems to kind of work in favor of the Arizona Cardinals. And if they can create some turnovers like they did the previous week, it just bodes well for them, just continuing to have a way off the field defensively, which is not exactly easy to find week in and week out. And then also maybe putting this offense in a position to kind of get back on track for the first time and find some consistency in 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's not apples to oranges. I did do my homework. I looked back to that 2022 Philadelphia Eagles team, coordinated defensively by Jonathan Gannon. He went up against Matt LaFleur's Packers. I think it was week 10 of that season. The Packers were having a down year. They were 4-8 at the time. Rodgers, I think, was in and out of the lineup. It was his last year in Green Bay. The Eagles won, but it was 40-33. So it was a shootout. So take that for what you will. But LaFleur is also a disciple of the Shanahan offense, which Nick Rallis shut down. Jonathan Gannon shut down last week. I think for the Arizona Cardinals, can you force Jordan Love into these turnovers that he's very susceptible to do? Like your stat, he's a 500 quarterback dating back to last year. He is excellent off the big plays, and it's coincidental. I know everybody's connected the dots. Go ahead and hit that like if you could, that he's got some Favre-esque tendencies. I think way closer to Favre in terms of his decision-making than Aaron Rodgers ever was. Like Jordan Love is very much feast or famine. Like they've got Reed and company. Sounds like Christian, the wide receiver, is going to play this week. They've got some weapons. The tight end emerged last week.
Yeah.
But then he'll throw across his body into traffic, and it'll go the other way. And then you look at some of these games that they've won. They've had big leads. Other teams have come back fighting, narrowly escaped. Then against Minnesota, they were down big. They fought back. So I expect this to be a close game. The Packers really haven't blown anybody out yet. They let teams similar to the San Francisco 49ers hang around in the second half. Can the Arizona Cardinals, like last week, can they build upon that performance? That has to be the theme of this season. I love Kyler Murray as much as the next person on this podcast. We need the consistency. We need the strung together back-to-back close wins on the road. It would do so much for the confidence of this team, his maturation process, because it's not always going to look like the LA Rams week 2 at home.
Well, and then, I mean, you have to consider that Jordan Love didn't look great against the Rams team that the Cardinals easily handled in week 2. And, you know, it was a defense that Kyler Murray had a perfect quarterback rating, and Jordan Love was far from perfect in that game. I mean, the whirling dervish trying to make a play, throws it right into the arms of a Rams defender, kind of maybe even let Kyler Murray off the hook for maybe the worst turnover in that building out there in Los Angeles. It was ugly. And Jordan Love, like you said, I mean, it's not the Favre-esque, hey, trying to fit a ball into a tight window gunslinger thing. It's like, hey, I'm young, I'm raw, and I'm just trying to make a play way too much, and it turns the ball over. And like, you can't let him not have one or two of those plays on Sunday. Like, you have to force the issue with that. You can't have, you know, the perfect circumstances for Jordan Love to get back on track and find some sort of sense of consistency this year. Like, you can't be that team that allows that to happen, because there's too many playmakers. As you mentioned, the tight end has emerged, kind of hurdling over a guy in Luke Musgraves. Croft has as one of the top tight ends in this league so far. And then the run game with Josh Jacobs is always kind of looming, and just like the Cardinals could be established to make things tough because of the balance that it creates.
Yeah. This is a team that's very susceptible to the run, like the Arizona Cardinals. It feels like another game. I mean, we talked about it ad nauseum last week because we knew it was coming. We called it on the opening drive that Drew Petzing, after all the arrows that he took, rightfully so, was going to unleash Kyler Murray with his legs. Like, I don't know how many times they can go back to that well, but it's working right now. I think Kyler Murray's averaging like over 10 yards per carry. If you take away his kneel downs at the end of games, it's over 11 yards per carry. He's easily the most effective quarterback runner in the NFL right now. I think you lean into that until this passing game decides, whether it's scheme, personnel, what have you, that it wants to start clicking with big explosives downfield. You lean on James Conner, you lean on Kyler Murray, you lean on the read option. I do some misdirection with Greg Dortch. Maybe this is a Trey Benson game. You can get him more involved, the screen game, and then dump it off to Trey McBride. like the Marvin Harrison Jr. kind of enigma right now outside of the first quarter. Like, this is not the kind of game where you feel like, yeah, I'm going to be able to force feed him 15 balls. Now, I could be wrong, but they've got real defensive backs. McKinney, as you mentioned off air, he's got 5 interceptions. Jaire Alexander, will he play? Like, this is not a secondary you can screw around with. Whereas I think their front seven, very susceptible to an opposing run game. And again, like, I'm not looking forward to this offense on 3rd and long with a backup now right guard and a backup right tackle, asking Kyler Murray to throw 30+ times per game. Establish the run, keep Jordan Love off the field so that when he comes on, he's overzealous and he makes that critical turnover, as you mentioned.
Yeah, and I've seen that. I don't think the Packers, they're not winning. They're not close to winning the time of possession this season, and that's a key as far as when they've struggled. And like they've played teams that I think are collectively like their wins this season. I think the teams that they beat have a collective 4 wins on the year and a lot of losses. Right,
very Seahawk-esque. Am I right, Shane?
Very Seattle-esque.
Very.
Yeah. A couple fraudulent wins for the Pack.
Those guys stink.
Yeah. The Go Pack Go. Should we take a look at who's in, who's out? Maybe listen from the Arizona Cardinals head coach, Jonathan Gannon, gave us some insight today. So kind of a surprise right out of the gates. JG opened up his press conference saying, we expected Darius Robinson to be down, but said also who was eligible to return off suspension is Zay Jones. Zay Jones is going to be down this week. So you're not going to get any of the reinforcements you thought you were going to get from either Zay or D-Rob. They'll continue to prepare. D-Rob was not practicing today, but Zay Jones was, and try to gear up and maybe get ready for that Monday night tilt against the Chargers. But we did get some insight as far as just Darius Robinson, where he currently is as far as his rehab.
He's excited to play, you know what I mean? He wants to put on a jersey and play football, you know what I mean? But he understands where he's at and what his role will be moving forward, and he'll embrace that.
What does that mean?
I do. Yeah, I'm excited for those guys to play.
That was in reference to the right guard situation, but what were you asking him? What does what mean for Darius Robinson?
He's excited to play football, but he's not playing football this weekend. Right. And then I get this cryptic tweet from Yubo, Brock, that I didn't like. I didn't like the word discomfort with regard to Darius Robinson. I have discomfort hearing that. I was led to believe, and this is just being a big dummy, naive boy, that hey, he was activated. Let's ramp it up a little bit. You had texted me off air, what was that, yesterday? Like, hey, Darius, man, he's not practicing. And I'm like, what is going on? What would you attribute that to? Are you able to give us a little bit more insight as it relates to, like, everybody wants to know, like, is Darius still hurt? Should they not have activated him? Like, why activate him for practice if he can't even practice?
Yeah, I think that it's probably, and I'm going to have to be vague here because it's just speculating and just giving an educated guess. It's just as far as what we know, how the organization operates. And we very rarely have seen guys that haven't played any games in the current season and are being designated return or activated, that they're ready to go right out of the gates. And I think that that's the case with Darius. But the fact that they reeled him back, that he was on the practice field Wednesday in practice uniform and with his teammates, not doing a whole lot.
No.
But then Thursday, he's back on the side working with the training staff and not with his teammates. And then the same situation today. And then Gannon admitting and revealing discomfort in his press conference. It makes you think that, okay, this is what Brian Baldinger outlined when the initial injury happened, that, hey, if you're planning for a guy to come back from a calf injury and you say 4 weeks, might as well just plan for 6 weeks, because it's just one of those things that's that kind of just lingers. So maybe that's the case. Maybe he just got out there and it was a little tender, as Gannon said, discomfort. And they're just like, look, we're already erring on a very cautious side here. And let's continue to do that and make sure our 27th overall pick is good to go, so we don't have to eventually return him to IR and then just lose him for the entire season. They want him to come out, but also be in a good spot to where he's playing consistently once he's good to go.
Yeah, I mean, I hate this term, but it's kid gloves, right? You want to make sure that it's the prized possession of the draft class, save for Marvin Harrison Jr. and we know how vital that position group is. They're starved for talent up front defensively. So it's a double-edged sword. We want him out there because they need him, because he's going to help them win games. But at the same time, you rush him back and he further injures himself, and it's a liability can linger on in the offseason. So we saw what they did with Kyler Murray last year.
Right.
And goodness, this show was batting about 100, predicting, maybe he'll come back this week. And then
it's the same thing. And that's what I wanted. I wanted people to hear from Gannon and talk about Darius and where Darius is. It's like Darius wants to play. Like Darius Robinson, if it was up to him, he probably would try to find a way back in September. And you love that mentality, but it's like with the Kyler thing. Like, remember Kyler like working and going in?
Kyler didn't want to go on PUP. Remember that?
He wanted to be ready for week 1. And it's just like these guys feel like they're Superman and that they that they can work through anything and that they'll be ready. But it's good for the team to have that level-headedness and realize, like, look, like we know that you could probably play this week, and we know that you make an impact, but they're not going to be tempted by that, and do what's best for the player. And you just hope that doesn't bite them in the butt. As far as the run defense or the defensive front seven, having one of those performances that we've already seen a couple times, unfortunately. But I think that this is the right approach, and it's also the right mentality from the player. That obviously wants to be out there and be ready to play. So the second part of that, it was a separate clip.
Yeah.
Jonathan Gannon was asked about the right guard position and how he felt. Was he comfortable with the guy who was going to be filling in? And he reveals, like, I'm excited to see those guys play. And it's a lot of what we've speculated all week. Is it's probably going to look similar to the left guard position post Elijah Wilkinson last year, where it was veteran Tristan Colon, who's going to be in the mix, probably will start at right guard come Sunday, and then see some time for rookie guard Isaiah Adams, who's good to go off the injury report, 3rd round pick out of Illinois, mixed in, and then they'll just kind of ride the hot hand. And hopefully, what this show would like to see is, as much as we like Tristan Colon, Isaiah Adams take a stranglehold of that position.
I mean, Tristan Colon had an excellent 4th quarter, and I mean excellent based on the tape last week, and helped them. Like, not only was he not a liability, he helped them beat San Francisco, and that is something he can build upon, right? But there's a difference between coming off the bench and throwing 90 and being asked to start a complete game here against Green Bay Packer team on the road. But Isaiah Adams is the future starter at that position. They utilized the top 75 pick on him. He is a above average run blocker today. Like, he can come out and make holes for James Conner, but there's a twofold for that. Does he know where to go? And then from a pass protection standpoint, would he get Kyler Murray killed? Right? Because he was not good from a pass protection standpoint in the preseason. In fact, he was pretty bad. Now, he didn't have the continuity of a Yelda Froholt. Now he's got Kelvin Beachum next to him, right? He's got Tip Ryman at his disposal. Like, they can give him some help. But if it was me, like, I'd be interested to see if we're watching this game on Sunday, Gila River, 10 a.m., and they're substituting Tristan Colon. Is it Isaiah Adams or is it John Gaines? Top of mind for you. Like, who do you believe is that other guy or guys part of that equation, Bo?
I think it's Adams.
You don't think John Gaines is a factor at all?
I mean, Gaines was available last week, and they didn't try to force that really at all.
Yeah.
So
he's probably just the backup center at this point.
I would agree. And that's not a knock on Gaines. It's somebody that I think they have a lot of confidence in. Right. Yeah. They like his athleticism, but he's a guy that missed his entire rookie season and is trying to get up to speed. And I don't think that they want to see him have to play, but they like him enough to keep him on the roster and don't want to have to try to force him through to the practice squad.
Well, Tristan Colon, to me, I mean, he went to Missouri, right? Yeah. He was on the Ravens, he was on the Jets, and he's got starting experience. I think he started like a handful of games, a little bit more in the NFL, and maybe he's 26 years old. I mean, once upon a time, Yelda Froholt needed an opportunity. If there is one position group that I am confident gets coached up, it's the offensive line. Like, this is the anti, Ken Wisenhunt years. This is the anti Steve Wilkes years and Cliff Kingsbury. This offensive line coach from Cleveland knows what he's doing. So I have immense trust. So whomever they want to go with, I'm fine with that. I don't think they're going to be some big liability. I could be wrong, but they're going to be a downhill attacking offense against Green Bay. Get Kyler Murray and James Conner out in space. Get Tristan Colon comfortable. Here's what I don't want to see. If Tristan Colon looks good, don't pull him from the game, right? And they're smart. They won't do that. But to me, it's like, I'm only pulling this kid at 26 years old if he looks like a liability and they need a boost, right? If it's 2 yards in a cloud of dust with the run game and they said, hey, big fella out of Illinois, go in there and make some holes. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Tristan Colon's going to continue to play well.
Yeah, and he looked good. Let's take a look at the injury report real quick. As it came out, final one, Cardinals real quick, and then we'll look at the Packers, which is a long one. But as you see at the top here, as we mentioned, Zay Jones, Darius Robinson, both out, will not be activated this week. Cardinals exemption for Zay Jones continues throughout the week, and that probably telegraphed things for you. If you look back with hindsight benefiting from 2020 there, when they were given that exemption, maybe it should have just pointed out like, hey, they're probably not going to play him this week. They released Chris Moore, but then brought him back on the practice squad, and I would probably expect him to be elevated tomorrow, Johnny.
Okay.
To be ready for game day.
Yeah.
But then you look at it, Calvin Beachum, right tackle. I would say Wednesday, his do not practice was probably resting that sore hamstring. Then he's limited the rest of the week, but I expect him to be ready to go at right tackle. Christian Jones, still don't know if he's going to be activated. He was designated return last week. Same situation. He practiced coming off the ankle injury, but I don't know if they want the 5th round pick to have you need a role as far as if you're going to get a jersey on Sunday. I don't know if he's got that role just yet. Matt Prater, another one of those ones where you got to really kind of keep an eye on it. Seemed like Prater was fine all week. He's questionable. If a big kind of telltale sign will be tomorrow if they elevate Chad Ryland, who remains on the practice squad after his 3 field goal performance last week. And then Garrett Williams was questionable, limited all week with the groin, but saw him this week run around. I think Garrett Williams is going to be good to go.
That's huge. Let's take a look, if we could, at the Green Bay Packer injury report. One of the biggest issues all the way at the bottom, Devontae Wyatt, a standout first-round pick for the Packers, already had 3 sacks on the year, will not play. He had played in 4 games this year, was last seen in the loss against the Vikings. He is their most physical front 7 player. He is out on an otherwise already susceptible team against the run. I think this is a perfect opportunity. This is a get-right game, if we've ever seen one, for the Arizona Cardinals offense. They ought to be able to work off of play action. Like everybody else, it looks like is going to play for them. I would be surprised if Jaire Alexander doesn't play. I'd be surprised if Christian Watson, who was a full limited participant but looked good this week in practice, like their team is what it is offensively. Defensively, they're already trending down. Wyatt being out is huge. Not enough is being made of that. The Cardinals need to attack the defensive line for Green Bay and control the line of scrimmage. Like at some point, we need to see this offense take advantage of an opposing defense like this again, right? Yeah. Everybody wants to make a point about Washington's terrible defensively. Cardinals didn't take advantage. Niners, there were opportunities to be had. Cardinals were consistently in the red zone, couldn't punch it in, right? Ended up being fortunate to win that game last week, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, one of these games, you're going to need to be able to score over 30 points to win. This is a perfect opportunity. You're not going to Lambeau Field with inclement weather in November and December. It's flipping October. It's beautiful out. Like it's early morning. Go out and produce. This offense has no excuse this week. None.
Should be in the 50s, right? This week. I also think there was a little rain in the forecast, but we'll have to double check that. The Cardinals were practicing inside the last 2 days. I think they were really trying to avoid the heat because they knew it was going to be a lot cooler temperatures, even though it's unseasonably warm for that, area of the United States in Wisconsin at Lambeau Field.
Right now, it's a high of 55 for Sunday with 80% chance of rain.
80% chance.
But here's the thing.
It's got a little Pittsburgh vibes.
Cardinals
like last year.
Built their team and built their offense to play in this kind of weather. I don't want to hear about the weather. I'm not interested in hearing that. Like, I think Cardinals showed you last year, to your point, Bo, the Pittsburgh game. This is not Cliff Kingsbury, 10 personnel 4 wide receiver, undersized players, and it has to be able to only produce in a dome. Like this is the kind of game where your offense should travel. We haven't seen it travel yet, though.
So yeah, I guess he's out on weather. He doesn't like to tune in.
I don't want to sit at Gila River, one of my favorite places on earth, and complain about weather being a factor in why the Cardinals lost. That's soft loser mentality, in my opinion.
You're such a tough guy. You're such a football guy. You know?
Oh, the weather. We have to go to Lambeau Field in October. Oh. It's like, come on, guys. You trying to win? You see that show tweet? You haven't won back-to-back games in 3 years.
Damn.
Cut it out. Weather.
That was a long time ago.
Get the trench coat. Give me my umbrella. We got more Arizona Cardinal Green Bay Packer talk right around the corner here on PHNX Cardinals. But first, the Cardinals may or may not be money this weekend, but our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union sure as heck are. The official credit union of PHNX Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Venerable household. That's because for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicating to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. Take it from me, one of the best decisions I've ever made, updating and upgrading my financial acumen with Desert Financial. And it's not just a transaction, although they have many locations. Get your money quick, easy, and fast at one of their premium ATMs, but check them out for checking, savings, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. Plus, if you're an Arizona sports fan, no better place than to do your banking. Represent the Red Sea with the Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. Show your team spirit today. Open up a free checking account online, get an Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. Go to desertfinancial.com/CardinalsBow to get started. Takes a matter of minutes to open up a free checking account. Debit cards in the mail just a couple days after the fact. Desert Financial Credit Union. Upgrade your financial acumen today.
Let's talk about another place where the weather doesn't play a factor. How about Chicken and Pickle? You head over to Chicken and Pickle. You got the best indoor, outdoor entertainment complex. It includes casual, chef-driven restaurant with sports bar and boasts, of course, the best pickleball courts. Johnny's been out there. He's ripped it up on the pickleball courts before, carried by his father, his teammate out there. Yeah,
I contributed.
Let's be honest. We really appreciate how honest we are to our audience in New York area. But it's the place that you want to go. You want to go have a good time here. Enjoy maybe one of our tailgates that we have going on. Most of the home games won't be Monday night. We're not going to have our tailgate Monday Night Football against the Chargers, but join us the rest of the year over at Chicken and Pickle. Show them what the Valley it has the best to offer in the Valley, actually, as far as pickleball goes. Newbie nights just for you, courts for others who are ready to drink and just play around. Instruction that's facilitated and plays included. Plus, every participant gets a $10 Chicken and Pickle gift card. Head to chickenandpickle.com to see all the fun you can have at their Glendale location. Chicken and Pickle. Feel the excitement. Get out there and rip it up with some pickleball.
Love it. Their food is elite too, by the way. You guys are elite here on a Football Friday. Drop a like. The goal, of course, on every Football Friday, 350 likes. Do it for our guy, Marv. I feel like we haven't talked about Marv enough this week. I know we met with the media yesterday, Bo. Like, quickly here before we jump into some super chats, what's your expectation for the 4th overall pick? Because are people selling stock on MHJ?
Yeah, they shouldn't. I mean, I thought Jonathan Gannon gave some pretty good insight today, and that we can kind of harken back to our experience with our guy, Michael Wilson, at Super Bowl Radio Row, just as far as the rhythm and timing of this offense. But just listen to Jonathan Gannon, his explanation as far as what's going on with Marv.
Stuff, you know what I mean, when we talked about earlier, I mean, just, you know, because we've had to adjust with him because of the player that he is. Like, his stride length is longer than other guys' stride length, so when you're playing in a rhythm and timing based offense, he might be too deep just because of his stride length, you know what I mean? Or, you know, when he snaps his eyes, when Kyler wants his eyes, he might be too early or too late at times, you know what I mean? So he's a first-year guy. You know, all rookies have a learning curve, no matter what their role is. They have a learning curve to play him, but he's playing a good amount for us, obviously. He's an impact in the game. People are very aware of him, and we got to continue to do a good job to have him get his touches, you know. But I think just with him, it's little details, you know what I mean, which he's very aware of, and he's consistent enough where he's cleaned some of the not mistakes, just adjustments. You know what I mean? We've had to make some adjustments. I'm sure we'll have to make some as we keep going too.
I mean, he's incredibly coachable. Like, that's not even a question, right? And he's super talented. So that's why I just keep telling people, like, it's only a matter of time with this offense where he's going to be completely unguardable. Like we saw it, like week 2 was a blessing and a curse because we saw him score 2 touchdowns and 130 yards in a quarter. And we're like, this is the norm now. Right. This is every week. And it's like, you know what? NFL defensive coordinators and DBs get paid too, and they're going to make it difficult on Marv. And I would argue it's opened up opportunities for our boy Michael Wilson in single coverage, and certainly Trey McBride. And eventually that's going to come back around. Like, I'm not going to use this time to dog on Malik Neighbors because he's about to miss his 2nd consecutive game. He's having concussion issues, but like, rookies go through some stuff, man. And it doesn't always look super easy, like, and seamless. Like, I still think he's going to go over 1,000 yards this year. I think he's going to have double-digit touchdowns. And like last week, when we look back on the season, we're going to say, hey, remember when Marv caught that fade on 4th and 5 to help win them the game against San Francisco? Like, nobody's going to care if he had 2 or 3 catches. If he's making game-winning plays like that, the rest of that stuff's going to come. Like, I perfect example, you remember Devontae Adams as a rookie for the Green Bay Packers? He was awful. He was a 2nd-round pick out of Fresno State. He dropped everything. Yeah. Marv, I mean, like, Marv is such an elite prospect that we have the highest of standards. And if this was any other rookie, we'd be like, man, that guy's off to a heck of a start. But because it's Marv, we're grading on this unbelievable, maybe unobtainable goal. But eventually, it's going to come back around. I really do believe that.
And what Wilson told us in Vegas at Radio Row is just like, with the rhythm and timing, and where his disconnect with Kyler Murray, because he talks from his own experience, was trying to get on the same page with his quarterback. And when the offense is broken down and you receive, your route tree in the plays and the routes you're going to run, obviously it's going to be different if Michael Wilson is running in the X or Greg Dortch is running the X, because it's going to take Michael Wilson less strides than Greg Dortch to get into his break. And then also is Jonathan Gannon's, pointing out like when to kind of, turn his eyes to the quarterback and look and peek what Kyler Murray's doing. So it's just all different. And it's just a process. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to click for it to be kind of rough around the edges and not close to perfect. And also us look at the stat sheet and see that this guy's got 4 touchdowns in 5 games. I mean, things could be way worse.
Can I read you some stats here to kind of support this narrative? Kyler Murray's passer rating when targeting Marv, 105. Okay. Marvin Harrison Jr. is 10th in the NFL in average depth of target at 15 yards. So just about every time he catches the ball, it's a big play. He's 12th in the NFL in yards per reception at 16.4. You mentioned it. 4 touchdowns. I see everybody talking about he's got to come down with more contested catches. Like, sure, he's got 1 drop on the year. And what was that? Like his very first attempt that came out in Buffalo? Like, do you want to see him have more receiving yards? Absolutely. But like, first of all, he's one of their top graded players via Pro Football Focus. Like, he's one of the best players on the team already. Yeah. Like, what? I get it. We want everything, have our cake and eat it now. And we're just, this new generation of we got to have
microwave society.
Self-gratification.
Will you blast this in the microwave? I need it now.
Yeah, right. Give me my Hungry Man in the microwave yesterday.
I've got a completely unthawed turkey. Will you just throw it into the toaster oven and get this thing fired up? I'm hungry.
You have 2 wins, and he was a huge part of both of those wins in different ways, right? Yeah. So, and I would imagine if the Cardinals win this weekend, he's going to be a big part of this weekend, whether he scores or not. So the Marv narratives, like, I'm at the point now where I can't even listen to them. I can't even be conditioned to listen to them.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, somebody was in my mentions today talking about how Larry Fitzgerald would never do it like that. I'm like, Larry Fitzgerald had 780 yards his first season.
Like, to those people, please shut up. Please shut up. You don't know ball. I respect you. Please be a part of our show, but please Please shut up on Marv. I just can't listen to that.
Yeah. We'll of course get into our full breakdowns. We got Craig Morgan just around the corner. We'll give our offensive, defensive X factors in this game, our 4-game predictions. But one thing I wanted to get into, and I know it was bandied about during contract negotiations for Jordan Love, and it's kind of an enigma a little bit as far as, do you pay him? He's got 1 season under his belt. And you look at the 1 season, it's a bit of a polarizing topic too, because like the first 9 games, he wasn't really good at all. And then after that, the next 8 games, he was elite. He goes on this run. We're going to call it the Love Sanity run here. It's like Linsanity for Jordan Love. Final 8 weeks of 2023.
My goodness.
He's at 70%, 18 touchdowns to 1 interception, 2,100 yards. And the Packers go 6-2, putting themselves into the NFC playoffs where they won a game and took the Niners down to the ropes there in the divisional round.
Yeah.
And people are like, everybody on the bandwagon here. But when you look at this and then you see the other games, Johnny.
Oh, no.
This is before that Love Sanity run, and this is combining the start to this season. He's 57% completion percentage, 22 touchdowns and 15 picks, 2,800 yards, more games. In 12 games, he's 4-8. The Packers are during those other games where Jordan Love isn't playing out of his mind.
Some would say love hurts in these scenarios, like the famous 70s rock song. I can't remember who sings that. Love hurts. Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
4 touchdowns, 4 and 8. It's a Friday. We're having fun. Shane, you know that one?
There was not a Gatorade commercial.
Love hurts. I would love to be able to sing that on the halftime show at Gila River this Sunday. By the way, if you're not coming to our watch party, what are you doing? Gila River at 10 a.m. this weekend?
Yeah, nobody wants to be around you after that. After you went a cappella.
I'll just get my pipes loose here. I don't want. There it is. Those people
that's what the guy in the Fitz is.
Yeah, they're not even cheering for the Cardinals. They're singing "Love Hurts" by Nazareth or whatever it is. People are fired up. That's Jordan Love just threw his 4th interception of the game.
Your thoughts on Jordan Love? Because I think it's a fair can he beat mid accusations?
I was ready, as you know, because sometimes I'm quick to do this to label him a bust last year. Fraud City, Bust City. And then he went on that run. And I'm like, okay, I want to like this guy. And then he blows the NFC divisional round against San Francisco. So I immediately started hating him again. And this year, I think, first of all, week 1, and we were on a text thread with Shano. Like, I thought he was done for the year. I thought you saw his knee buckle and there was a pop. And of course, that happens to every other team. Like, their quarterback comes back and now he's playing. I don't think he's fully healthy. If I'm Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis this week, and we saw just a taste of it, the Cardinals are one of the least blitzing teams in the NFL. They don't like to do it. Yet they don't really have the personnel to rush 4. Somebody told me earlier this week, I probably can't say this on air. It has to do with bleach and your eyes as it relates to watching the Cardinals rush 4. It's a rough watch. Dante Stills off the edge, right? I mean, the Cardinals have no juice when rushing 4. But here's what Nick Rallis did beautifully. They hadn't seen it all game. And on first down, when the Niners thought they were cooking at Ole Miss midfield, he deployed Jalen Thompson and he made the play of the game, and then Kazir White with the interception. As cute as that was at the end of the game, I'm bringing everybody all the time against Jordan Love. I'm making him uncomfortable. And put our defensive backs on an island and do what you can. And if you give up some big plays, so be it. You got Garrett Williams presumably back. Max Melton's getting better every week. Sean Murphy Bunting, you better step up. I am sending the house at Jordan Love this week. If he's got a bum wheel, if he's prone to turnovers, right? Because if Jordan Love is allowed, and he's not the athlete of Jaden Daniels and Josh Allen, but if you allow him to sit back there and you're rushing D tackles off the edge, like you have to do right now, what's Jordan Love going to do? He's just going to sit back there and he's going to make play after play, and it's going to be 7-on-7. I don't want to see that. Yeah. So you can do that against some of these immobile quarterbacks. You can do that against Brock Purdy. How much time did Brock Purdy have in that game? It was gross. He was running east and west like as much as he wanted to. You can't do that against Jordan Love. Blitz, if you lose by the blitz, so be it. But you don't have the personnel rush for this week.
I think they're pretty similar. Like Jordan Love is his athleticism that he has and his ability to move is to throw, is to find an ability to extend plays and throw. But like Brock Purdy, like we've seen, he's a little bit he's inaccurate, and he's not like Purdy where he benefits from a lot of dropped interceptions. Usually a lot of people are securing the Jordan Love picks that Brock Purdy, for whatever reason, the football gods just strike down each pick that he throws into the breadbasket of defenders. But the opportunity is going to be there. And you talk about the Cardinals and just rushing 4, like it's Spider-Man meme with these defenses. Like they both, like the Green Bay Packers, they don't rush anybody as well. It's all 4 that are coming at you, and they try to go off of that. And it's going to be up to Kyler Murray to stand in the pocket and make plays and make passes from the pocket and be able to find open receivers in that.
Let's get some of these super chats. Steven Jackson, friend of the program. He's been so generous with his donations to the show. We appreciate you, Steven. $40 here.
Holy heck. Thanks, man.
Yeah, we appreciate you on a Football Friday. I knew I wasn't crazy. Felt good about last week's game, and I feel good about this one, too. A lot of people feel good about this one. First place in the division after the brutal schedule so far would be crazy. It really would. Would have to make a trade for someone at some point. I'm with you. I mean, we've kind of downplayed the show title today. But if the Cardinals win on Sunday, they'll be in first place alone in the NFC West, having beaten number 2 or tied for number 2 San Francisco. The Rams would be in the basement. And I very much feel like the Cardinals are going to have their way with the Seahawks later this year. I think the Cardinals are set up to beat Seattle. So again, no one's expecting the Cardinals to just walk into Lambeau Field and come out with a dub, right? It's going to be a hard-fought game. But if we're sitting there at Gila and it's 1 p.m. on Sunday and the team wins and they're in first place, I mean, like they have revitalized their season. It's not over if they lose, certainly. But man, oh man, as low as the vibes were after Washington, you wouldn't be able to ask for a better turnaround.
Yeah, it would be monster. And like the more and more I look at this Packers team, the more fraudulent.
You're
like
all
fraud,
on
they're on fraud watch. Like they went 9-8 last year, and they beat the Cowboys in the playoffs.
They have an excellent head coach.
Look at some of the losses they had last year. The Giants, without Daniel Jones, they lost to the Giants. So did they lose to
who was playing quarterback?
Who was it? DeVito?
Oh, Tommy DeVito and his agent?
Yeah, it was Tommy DeVito and all 158 yards.
Where's the freaking gabagool?
I mean, they had a signature win over the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But then they're losing games to Denver last year, who was bad.
Gross.
Las Vegas, who was bad. They lost to Atlanta and Desmond Ridder way back when.
Maybe
there's some bad losses scattered all across that schedule from last year where they were became everybody's darling because they won a game in the wild card round over Dak. Well, everybody beats Dak in the wild card round.
It's just a rite of passage, I guess. We got Craig Morgan right around the corner here. We're going to do some game predictions. Check out the vibes ahead of the Packers Cardinals right here on PHNX Cardinals. But first, I want to tell you about our friends at Circle K, America's thirst stop. Again, it's Friday in the Venerable household, which means it's 79-cent Polar Pop Froster Day for my 9-year-old. He wants it every day, and if it was up to Circle K, he'd have it every day. But, got to rein it in a little bit. But they've got the snacks, the deals, and if you're looking to fill up in particular for very cheap, not very much money, save 25 cents per gallon in your first 5 fill-ups as a member of the Inner Circle, Circle K's free membership program. It's a free download. All you got to do, enter your email and phone number to be fully enrolled, and bada boom, you're ready to rock and roll. It's not just the snacks. It's not just the Polar Pops, the Frosters. You go to their deals page. It's just a long list of saving you money with our friends at Circle K Elite. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Again, save 3 cents per gallon every single day indefinitely moving forward. Okay, you like saving money, you like sweet deals. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com, Bo, for more details.
Let's talk about branded bills, a way to elevate your brand. You got a company, you got a Little League team, you got a slow pitch softball team that you got to elevate your squad by getting some nice apparel, maybe some jerseys, maybe some hats, whatever it may be that you need. Snapbacks, truckers, fitted. beanies, tees. Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. And check this out. Look, we've got the campus collection right back here. That's U of A. I'm going to switch that out real quick. We got to put ASU up. It's game night here in Tempe. There it goes.
Yeah, that's much better. That's much better.
This is elite podcasting right
We're
now.
just going to do it like this.
Perfect.
And I'm going to look like a child. Hey, hello, fellow kids. Branded Bills is going to make you look like the coolest kid in town. Check it out. Elevate your brand. Headed to brandedbills.com. Use the code PHNX for 20% off your first order. That's PHNX for 20% off your first order with Branded Bills.
PHNX Cardinals beat reporter Craig Morgan is joining us now. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that nobody has worked harder these past couple of weeks on the road, emotionally, physically, the toll that this man has been through. Not only the travel, not only the elite content that you can find at gophnx.com, the fact that that hockey team made you watch them start the season 2-0. Craig, what are your emotions right now as we kick off the show?
Thanks, Johnny.
I want you to have this platform because I would be irate. I would be furious.
I thought about dimming my ring light because I feel like I'm living in the darkness. And oh, by the way, since you know where I grew up, Johnny. We both grew up similar areas.
Yes.
How do they cap off this week? Yeah, go ahead and send me to Green Bay to look at the Packers, who I grew up hating. We'll get to that a little bit later. Yeah, it was an emotional week, guys. It was really, really weird to watch the Coyotes, who are not the Coyotes anymore, play in front of adoring fan base, politicians, community leaders, everybody supporting the team, the kind of support that they didn't get here. It's bizarre. I want to move on. If you want to ask me a question, go ahead, but I feel like I got through my therapy already.
The Cardinals will save you. Michael Bidwell is here to save you, Craig Morgan. The team hasn't won back-to-back games in 3 years. He's here to rescue Craig Morgan. Go ahead, bro.
You know what? This is
an assault.
I was on a different vibe here. I was ready to join this show because I heard you guys talking about this instant gratification, younger generation. Johnny was singing Nazareth. I was like, all right, I can fit in on this show. And then you took me back. There it is.
Well, it's just even more proof that love hurts. You have something that you love and it leaves you. You want to talk about maybe like something horrible from your childhood, Johnny? You want to ask him like deep, dark stuff?
That I watched I don't know the rules. I don't consume a lot of hockey. I watched those games this week on Gamecast in disgust. I was disgusted by that. And so I think we're going to turn the page now. We're going to look ahead to this weekend. So you're going to be in Lambeau Field. Have you ever been to Lambeau Field? When was the last time you've been there?
I have not seen a game at Lambeau Field.
Wow.
And I feel like part of it was just because why would I have as a Bears fan?
Right.
Why would I, just dirty myself by going into that building? Listen, the Packers have a great history, blah, 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 all that. But I grew up a Bears fan, so it's in my DNA to hate the Packers. Haven't really managed to flush it out completely yet. So maybe I'll bring that to bear a little bit in what I write and what I say about this game. But we'll see. Maybe I'll be able to move past that as well, since this is all about new beginnings for me, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. When I think the only thing I can't think the AJ Green not turning around on, was it Thursday Night Football, Johnny?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, where they started undefeated and then AJ Green doesn't turn around and turns into a Rasul Douglas pick. The first loss in PHNX Cardinals history that you had to endure. But then, like Greg, dating back to when you were covering the team before, like one of the greatest. I mean, for me, it was the greatest football game I've ever witnessed. With the two Hail Marys on one drive from Aaron Rodgers to Jeff Janis, and then the Kurt Warner nearly perfect playoff performance against Aaron Rodgers and crew again. Like there's been some good matchups between these two teams.
Yeah, the Cardinals don't have a great all-time record against the Packers, but those are two of the most entertaining games I've ever watched. Those two meetings with the Packers in the postseason, they were incredible. Yeah, Michael Adams getting the strip, right? I remember that. Carlos Dansby, that was an incredible, incredible game. People in the press box were just stunned by Kurt Warner's performance in that game. So that's something that I'll always take with me. But this game, how you guys feeling? I heard some good vibes about this game. How you feeling about this Packers-Cardinals matchup? A chance to get back to 500. And obviously, they're in this division race. What are you feeling?
I feel good about where this team is headed, regardless of the outcome of this weekend. I'm encouraged by what I've seen defensively. Save for like if they completely wet the bed this weekend, I'll be discouraged. But I think right now they're very comfortable with who they are, and I think the Packers have to keep pace in a vaunted NFC North where everybody's got a winning record. The Bears are playing a joke of a schedule, right? Week after week. They're in London playing the Jags. Get out of here with that. We know how good Detroit is. And then certainly now the surprise of the league is Minnesota. Like, it's a big game for the Packers. Whereas the Cardinals look around, they're like, well, we're 2-0 in the NFC West. We know we can compete in this division. This is by far the toughest schedule that anybody has faced to begin this year, given the head coaches and quarterback combination. Like, I think they're playing with house money a little bit. And certainly, like, I want them to come off of this road trip 2-0. But like if they lose this game and they come back and they beat the Chargers on Monday Night Football, they're going to be right exactly where we had hoped they would be, right around or just below 500 with a lot of meat on the bone in the second half of this season. Like, so I think this is going to be a competitive game into the fourth quarter. I absolutely do, Craig. I think the Cardinals match up very well offensively with a Green Bay Packer front seven that doesn't have a ton of talent. To me, at times, this could come back to bite me. They look slow. They look slow to the football. You can run on them. You can be physical with them. Sam Darnold early in that game had a ton of time to throw. The question then becomes, like, can they score enough touchdowns outside the first quarter, and can they make Jordan Love uncomfortable? That's the key in this game.
Bo, did you want to jump in, or you want me to say something here? Because I noticed you use the metaphor wet the bed, and that's an interesting metaphor given the tweet that I sent you guys earlier today. I'm not sure if that's going to make an appearance. It might make an appearance a little bit later. But you're right. Like I was talking to one of the beat writers. Hopefully you're reading Outside the Nest. But Ryan Wood was talking about how they like to rush just 4. That is their philosophy. They got 8 sacks against the Titans, but they haven't gotten much pressure against anybody else this season. I do think Kyler could have some time to throw. They're giving up a lot in the passing game too, especially explosives. Again, we'll get to that a little later, but I think there are some things that the Cardinals can exploit offensively this week. I do worry about the offensive line though, and the constant just shuffling of players. At some point that comes back to bite you. It's really hard to just keep sustaining losses to key players.
It does, though, if you're looking for a matchup to maybe ease work share, which we're expected, with Tristan Colon leading the way at right guard, kind of ease them in at that spot. I think this is pretty good for it. As you mentioned in your article, the Outside the Nest, and I mentioned earlier in the show, it's like the Spider-Man meme where the Cardinals do that on defense, the Packers do that on defense. And as they have a big glaring missing piece in the interior of that defensive line. So, I mean, can Kyler Murray take advantage of that? That's what I want to see, though. Like, can Kyler Murray take advantage of having a clean pocket probably for the first time all season long and just pick apart this Packers defense that is opportunistic? Like, I mean, you've outlined all week long, like Xavier McKinney has had an unbelievable start with 5 picks in his first 5 games. If you can avoid that and take care of the football and move the chains, I mean, that seems like that's the recipe for success against this Packers team that is trying to find some sort of consistency with Jordan Love in and out of the lineup since week 1.
I look at the opposing quarterbacks that this Packer team has faced, though. They got picked apart by Jalen Hurts in week 1. The Eagles scored 34 points. Then they feasted for 3 picks against Anthony Richardson, who I'm not sure can play. Then who'd they get? They got Will Levis right after that. They got the slum of the AFC South. Okay. Then they lost. They got lit up by Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold lit them up for 3 touchdowns. And then who'd they play last week? Oh, the awful Rams.
Right.
Who Stafford has no weapons. I mean, like, the Cardinals present for the first time since week 1 a mobile quarterback with weapons. That team previously scored 34 points, and none of us take Philadelphia seriously. That was a game I absolutely thought Green Bay was going to win, and the Packers blew that game. I mean, they like the Eagles controlled that, and Packers were lucky to make that a 5-point game late in that game. So, like the Cardinals, it's set up for them to score a bunch of points. Now, again, can they stop Jordan Love? I don't know. Like this is a Jekyll and Hyde defense, Craig, which is what we, I think, signed up for. But the offense now, like we just broke it down. No more excuses, because, again, you're going to have to win some games when your defense doesn't look like last week.
Are you representing Hassan Reddick yet? How's that coming along?
I am. Yes, he contacted me late into the evening last night, and I told him that I would be willing to cash out my 401k to take care of half of a half for him this weekend when he forfeits.
I don't think that tips the scales for him, buddy. No offense, but
no,
I think it's happening.
I think I'm staying away from that at this point.
I think he got fined Johnny's 401k before he's going to reach the field.
I think he's sitting out this entire year and just keeping his body fresh. And then, bizarre. I think he takes pride in the fact that the Jets have to eat a 3rd round pick at this point. That's pretty hilarious.
Just a bizarre situation. What a bizarre
Jets are going to jet. Should we get into game predictions here?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I'm glad you brought up Will Levis.
Yeah, are you a big fan?
I am. Well, I might have a reference in my game prediction. So
let's get to it then. Let's
tell me to go first here.
Yeah.
Right. Kick us off, my friend.
Let me put on my old man glasses then, and we'll talk about it. Okay. I was talking about this. We were all talking about this earlier. The Packers have allowed the 5th most explosive passing plays in the NFL this season, 16. They don't get home to the quarterback. We just talked about that as well, with half of their season total for sacks coming in one game against Tennessee and Johnny's hero, Will Levis, who really should pronounce his name Levi's because he's durable, but he may not be your fashion choice if you want that winning look. Add it all up and throw in that Mina Kimes call out, and I see a big game for MHJ. I think he's going to have some opportunities, even if they aren't the highest percentage. He's getting longer, potential yards on his receptions or targets than other guys. I think this is a big game for him. On defense, getting back to my hatred of the Packers, Dennis Gardeck grew up in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, within a stone's throw of the Wisconsin border, but not quite on the chain of lakes, or he might have learned a different form of disrespect for the Packers that I shared with the PHNX Cardinals crew a little bit earlier. Shane, do you have that? Do you have that little video that I shared a little bit earlier?
Yeah, 1 second. Let me pull this up. It's pretty fantastic.
I'm gonna have you guys show this.
Be able to. Yeah, I don't know if this is allowed, but it's happening.
Oh, sure it is. It's just a statue.
We'll ask for forgiveness later. Look at that. That is a Packers helmet, and that is a bear urinating on it, and that is, in fact, on the chain of lakes, as they call it in Chicago, the White Trash Riviera. This is fantastic. I've been in that area. There were T-shirts all over the place, and me and my brothers got them because we were children at the time and thought it was hilarious. Bear Whiz. You guys ever remember the Bear Whiz T-shirts? I think that's what that is. Yeah, that's spectacular. Anyway, getting back to the topic at hand, this feels like a game that will get Gardeck's juices and his hair flowing. He hasn't had a sacks since that Rams game when we were all talking about him.
Oh, really?
He gets to Jordan Love on Sunday. Okay. Have you been mentioning this on the show today? All right. Here's my X factor. We just mentioned him. Tristan Colon could fill a very big role on Sunday with Will Hernandez out. Colon hasn't allowed a pressure or sack in his admittedly limited playing time, and now he can focus on one position instead of having to rep it in 3 in practice. He's a veteran of the Ravens' run-heavy offense. I think that could theoretically at least help open up holes for James Conner. Tristan Colon could go a long way towards determining the Cardinals' success in this game, and that's what I got this week.
I would love to see Dennis Gardeck play well again. And again, if you're asking the Cardinal coaching staff, it's bigger than just the box score. I need a box score Dennis Gardeck game.
Me too.
Would you like that?
I would. Here's what I'm not going to entertain. All the people that wanted to proclaim, like, you're wrong, Johnny. Look at what he does what he always does. He puts up some good numbers early in the season, and then he wears down because they ask him to do too much. And it's not his fault. But like they play he and Zaven Collins, and this, I can never remember his name, number 58. They're rushing him off the edge. It's like, yeah, they can't get any pressure off the edge. Their front four is very pass rush challenged.
Sure.
They just can't do it.
His percentage of snaps has dropped a little bit.
It has.
For those of you who like to track snap counts, I know there are people among us who like to do that. So
some like to write articles about it.
There you go.
Riveting stuff. Bo, you're up next, my guy.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get my players of the game, offensively, defensively. We're gonna start with the guy who's been the hottest hand, and try not to be distracted by my X factor early on, because I'm gonna start with my offensive star. if you're just listening on podcasts, you don't know what's going on just yet. But offensive star is Michael Wilson. He's been the most consistent in the passing game. I think that's where the four-man front's going to, who can expose them the most. It's going to be Michael Wilson out of the Z spot. He seems to have a nice rapport that he's developed over the last couple of games with Kyler Murray. He can continue that against the Packers in their secondary. Maybe get away if Jaire Alexander is on Marv duty. Maybe Mike Wilson can take advantage of that. My defensive star, somebody I'm confident should be back out there, Garrett Williams. He missed last week with a groin. He was too sore to play on Sunday against the Niners, but the Cardinals were able to make up for that with Rabbit. Taylor Demerson coming in and playing some nice snaps, and also you saw Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson have some very good games. If they can kind of parlay back-to-back good performances, I think their slot corner, Garrett Williams, should have an opportunity to get his hands on maybe his second interception this season. And then my X factor, good old DJ Dallas jump scare here with his picture, wide-eyed and ready to make some big plays as he did in the return game last week. Of course, he made contact with Moody, the place kicker for the Niners, and knocked him out of the contest. I'm not saying he's going to do that again, but the Packers have some of the worst special teams in the league, if not the worst special teams in the league. Can they make get some explosives in the return game? It's going to be on DJ Dallas and Greg Dortch to do so.
Wow, he could just take out another kicker, and that'd be just fine, too, because it altered the 49ers game.
No, we don't root for injuries, but
no.
Well,
DJ Dallas, does he,
Johnny,
can he hunt one down?
Some of us don't. Some of us just, not season enders, but your best players could have maybe avoid playing my team. I'd be into that. I like it. I like the DJ Dallas signing. It's grown on me. He looked good last week. Cardinals special teams, outside of an egregious block kick, been pretty good. Their punting was excellent last week. Obviously, the kicker did what he needed to do. The return game looks strong. Like, special teams are not an issue for this team. And so after watching, Seattle, what they did last night to keep it close with San Francisco, like, Cardinals, to get this offense where we want it to be, it might need a boost on kickoff return. I'm all in on that. I'm all in on these players this weekend. It feels like we are on the cusp of seeing a Trey McBride breakout game. He has been close. And then he had the setback with the concussion. He had 67 yards against the Rams. And then he was concussed against Detroit. He missed a week. And then last week against San Fran, 53 yards. I think this is Trey Day on Sunday. Javon Bulliard, who is stiff at strong safety. I think you'll have an opportunity to take advantage of him. I'm not buying the McKinney hype. He's feasted on bad quarterbacks. Watch what Trey McBride did to Minka Fitzpatrick. He abused him last year in Pittsburgh. I feel like safe, easy throws to 85 and then allow the coverage, just like the Rams did, to go over to number 85 and open things up for Marv one-on-one. Like, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. eventually is the best player on this team and on this offense. Trey McBride is your most reliable pass catcher. I would have him have 10 to 12 targets. I would make it a Trey game, number 85 over the middle. Defensively, Kazir White. Kazir White started this year slow. Last week, exceptional. His run defense specifically last week was off the charts. It was Jekyll and Hyde from the week before. It was fantastic against a physical Niner team that wants to run the ball. Can he meet Josh Jacobs in the hole? And then obviously he had the game-winning interception. I think he is just now, and he would never say it publicly, getting his bearings back from his season-ending injury last year. Coming back now, he's got over a quarter of the season under his belt, and I think we're just seeing the best of Kazir White. And then the X factor this week, Jalen Thompson. Get Jalen Thompson and Budda Baker at the line of scrimmage, making Jordan Love uncomfortable, tackling backs and receivers in the open field. Get Taylor Demerson some opportunities in the back seven to get his hands on the football. But Jalen Thompson, send him toward Jordan Love. Do it again. Blitz him every day and all day. Craig, I mentioned this before you jumped on the show. If they try to rush forward, they will lose. But if you have an opportunity to make Jordan Love have to throw off his back foot or throw across his body on the run, he will throw interceptions. It's not always the right time to blitz. This is the week to do it. 34 exceptional last week. Game-winning play with Kazir White defensively. I think they do it again.
I love it. We got some, of course, score predictions coming your way. We're going to get to the rest of your super chats. You guys are crushing it in the chat. But, yeah, we're going to get to who of us think that the Arizona Cardinals can go on the road and beat the Packers Hopefully not Johnny Venerable, since he's on an unbelievable losing streak. But will Johnny
What is
keep
your
it
record?
going?
What is your record, Johnny?
We'll get to it. We'll reveal his horrible record right after this on PHNX Cardinals.
But first, I want to tell you about our friends at Game Time. So right now, if you're in the area, I love checking out Game Time. Spur of the moment, they encourage procrastinating. Right now, if you're in the area, you can go to Tempe tonight and watch Utah play ASU, ranked Utah. By the way, if ASU wins tonight, I think we can assume, producer Shane, that they are going to be ranked. Get into the building, $28 tonight. Go see some top teams in the Big 12. Battle it out in Tempe. We've also got some Suns preseason action tonight. How much do you think it costs? $5 to get in the building. Have a good time. Watch pro basketball. And then we've got, of course, Arizona Cardinals on Monday Night Football. Tickets right now starting at $21 with our friends at Game Time. Get $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Use the bonus code PHNX for $20 off. That might cover your entire purchase price. But it's not just events, sporting events. We got Sabrina Carpenter, one of my faves, coming to Arizona, coming to Phoenix in November. Don't make that face. How dare you?
It is a Sabrina Carpenter summer, Johnny.
What's that?
It is a Sabrina Carpenter summer.
It is, absolutely. Coming to Phoenix.
Well, it was.
She's got some bangers. And if you want to see her in person and you want to get $20 off, don't, Bo, how
What's
dare
your favorite
you?
Sabrina Carpenter song, Johnny?
Isn't she like the sports kiss of death, though?
But it's a theory by Sean.
Oh, okay.
She's got a song called Bad Chem right now. That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Bad Chem, but yeah.
I have a big palette for music. You know, I was singing earlier on the show. You can check out all the acts you want on Game Time. You can go to festivals, events. We're in peak sporting season. Game Time is where you got to be. Again, PHNX is the bonus code. $20 off your first purchase. Maybe not for Bo Brock. What time is it? It's Game Time.
Let's talk about adult things, not Sabrina Carpenter, not nice little pop music that Johnny's into. Let's talk about replacing your flooring. It's a serious thing, can be serious and shouldn't be taken lightly. But if you want some honest upfront pricing from some professionals in the flooring industry, look no further than our friends over at Empire Today, 800-588-2300. Empire Today is going to hook you up. They got their virtual floor designer where you can just take your nice little smartphone out, take a picture, and then you're, boom, looking at new flooring in your dwelling, whether it's your condo, your home, wherever it may be, wondering what the new floors are going to look like. Try them out in the exact room right now. See how it works at empiretoday.com. And also when you log on to empiretoday.com/PHNX, you start your journey immediately with $350 that you're saving. It's $350 off new floors at empiretoday.com/PHNX. Check it out. Carpeting, flooring. It's empiretoday.com/PHNX.
Couple super chats here before we get into game predictions. Check out our guy Richard, $4.99. Given how many turnovers they force, could Connor or Dortch have a big game? I mean, like Greg Dortch right now, I think, Greg, we talked about it earlier in the week, has been, I think, the deterrent of this passing game not producing. Like we're waiting for, but you can't play Greg Dortch when the offense isn't clicking.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I have been waiting for a breakout game from him as well. We talked about this earlier, right? Really at the start of the season, how you have all these weapons, how you're going to incorporate everybody into the offense. It just feels like, and I heard you talking about Marv, it feels like other than just some spots, this offense really hasn't found its complete rhythm yet where they're working, all the pieces are working in unison. But yeah, I would like to see that come from Greg Dortch at some point soon. It feels like he's due for a breakout in this offense.
Our guy PR Mac, Lucetta, unsung hero with his strip fumble. Absolutely. And who was it we talked to earlier this week? Mac Wilson said that Lucetta went into the huddle before that defensive play and said he was going to punch it out. He did exactly that.
A good recipe for this team not getting stops and not getting specifically pass rush negative plays. If they can get turnover crazy, that will clean up a lot of these other issues. You can't go into games expecting that, but Bo, to your point, that turnovers are a mindset, and so I'm all about that.
I mean, we also talked about the play that set that up today, Bo. Blowing up Kittle, Buda Baker blowing up Kittle on that play, set the edge, and really gave Lucetta the opportunity to make that strip.
Topic 64, very generous, $19.99 super chat, friend of the program.
Wow.
Thank you, JV. All I'm hearing is how everybody chipped in against San Fran, but I haven't heard anything about the hit that caused Purdy to throw that crappy pass. Jalen Thompson saved that game because if he doesn't get home, and how many times have we seen rushers for the Cardinals not get home against Josh Allen, etc., and it be big plays in return? People don't realize how open Kittle was if that pass went through. The game probably is lost. Kittle is probably running at least to the 40 or the 35-yard line. It could be what I hope is a season-defining play by Jalen Thompson and Kazir White.
And before last year, Jalen Thompson didn't have any career sacks, and then they dialed up this safety blitz against C.J. Stroud, and he got home too, blew up Stroud, which is a huge play in that game. I know they didn't come around and end up winning that game, but the defense balled out against Stroud, and that was a nice, just well-timed and executed safety blitz there that really helped out Cardinals overall. All right. Was this Josh? Is this $5? Interesting fact, after playing the Lions this season, those teams are 0-4 and were dominated by their opponent. That was just a fluke of a game.
I mean, maybe the physicality Detroit wears on these teams. The Lions have, in my opinion, the best combination of line of scrimmage play in the NFL. They're a very physical team, and the Cardinals played well. They specifically played well defensively, and you do wonder if they were out of gas that next week. But I'm Cardinals are finding themselves on the right side of being competitive with some of these teams that figure to be major players in the NFC. Can they take that next step, and can they do that from a quarterback standpoint? We're going to find out this Sunday. Let's get into, gentlemen, our game predictions ahead of this weekend. Shano, let's see it. Who does the boys of PHNX Cardinals like? Bo, I'll start with you.
I've got the Arizona Cardinals winning this football game 26-23. I've just, as I've been doing my research on this Packers team, I've been swayed. I am not convinced that they are, one of those teams that's just going to show up week in and week out and prove and kind of flex that they're the most talented team on the football field. Seen inconsistencies from especially the most important position in all of sports, the quarterback spot, Jordan Love. And I think the Arizona Cardinals can come and kind of parlay last week's second half, rallying back past the 49ers into a big win on the road over the Packers here in week 6. I've got them winning 26-23.
All right, I'll jump in here. Bo, I think you referenced this in your tweet. How long has it been since the Cardinals won back-to-back games?
2021.
Okay. Just wanted to check that. Wanted to make sure of that before I do think this is going to be a competitive game. Johnny said it earlier. I think this goes into the fourth quarter. This is a game that can be won on a field goal at the end, but I don't see the Cardinals breaking that streak by winning 2 straight road games. I think they're going to be competitive. I think they're still okay. Like Johnny noted, even if they lose this game, they can win at home and they'll be in okay position. This is going to be a tight one, but I think the Packers find a way to get this.
Shane, I'm going to defer to you.
He's going to read Damon's because Damon's been out.
Damon has the Cards winning a very, very close one, 28-27. How has Damon been on these? Has he been pretty even money. Or just like
right? And then he took some flack, and I think he's gone away from. He's just going to pick the Cardinals every time because he can't take the heat.
He can't take the heat.
He can't take the social media heat. Isn't that right, Johnny?
We post these predictions on social, and then Damon gets tagged. And people are not very nice to our sweet producer, and he's like, "Did you really have to post that?" And I'm like, "Bro, we gotta own it. We gotta eat it, right?"
Yeah, that's why Damon's out this week. Actually, he's in a quiet place this week, just trying to gather himself.
Okay, so before everybody freaks out, calm down, chat. I've got the Cardinals losing. Okay, we had a little bit of a
that was my bad, chat.
Shane,
is that a bad omen?
I don't know. This means Cardinals are going to come back and win this game. In all seriousness, chat, had it in our rundown that the Cardinals are going to lose. So is that honestly how I feel? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to lose or not. But I'm by hook or by crook supposed to pick them to lose because I am 0 for 10. Craig, you asked it earlier in the show. Through 5 weeks in a combination of hold or fold the line and game predictions, I have missed on every single pick. I'm 0 for 10. Earlier this week on hold or fold the line. Let me pull it up here. Let me pull up my bet here. I have the Jaguars beating the Bears at plus 130 in London. Okay. So if the Bears win, I'm 0 for 11 in the early game. And if the Cardinals beat the Packers, I will be 0 for 12. So congratulations, chat. You've bullied me into not picking my team. I think the Cardinals are going to play well. I'm enthused by this team. But when you're 0 for 10, you have to succumb to peer pressure, and that's what I'm doing.
I don't like having the same prediction as you. I just don't.
Welcome to hell. Welcome to this hellscape. Welcome back to hell after what the Coyotes.
Man. I mean, 0 for 10 is already so impressive.
It's so awesome.
Really is impressive.
Some would say it's maybe more impressive than what a lot of other people are doing on this show. Listen,
couldn't get through it.
Listen, in all seriousness, I think the Cardinals are going to play well. I think the offense, and I say this every week, is going to figure it out. Okay. I don't know if we're going to be fortunate enough to see a kind of defensive performance last week. If we do, then hats off to Nick Roush. He really is a future head coach in this league. But the offense, if the offense wets the bed again, and I know they produced at times last week. Yes, I will. I am sacrificing myself for this game. Absolutely. No one forget. We're going to have real questions, because I don't think anybody can sit. And Craig, I'll defer to you. When you think about the Cardinals last week offensively, they weren't overly great. They did just enough, right? They scored 24 points and they got 3 additional opportunities because of their defense.
Yes. So, I wrote about it. I mean, it was the defense that won that game last week, without question. That's what I wrote about in my column. That, Kyler Murray talked about after that game, saying it didn't feel like the numbers were showing what we were doing because we felt like we were making plays. It's just like we needed to connect on that 1 or 2 more, but they didn't. The bottom line is they didn't, but the defense gave them opportunities. So I agree with you 100%. I thought we were laughing because I thought I was going to see that urinating bear again after you said wet the bed. So I was waiting for it. Should become a thing, I think.
I just feel like with this team against this Packer, as long as the moment isn't too big, you're all stereotypical Cardinal BS. Travel across country, play in an early game. You're at Lambeau Field. It's time to wet the bed. But I don't expect that from Jonathan Gannon. You went into Heinz Field last year and you bullied Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. You went into Philadelphia and you overcame that adversity down 21-6. I think we're going to get a very competitive Cardinal team on Sunday. I really do.
You can make an argument that this team's been better on the road than they've been at home. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah. So throw in the Commanders game, and I think it's a pretty strong argument, obviously.
But they just need to put themselves in a position like Pittsburgh, where if they get a strong defensive performance early on, the offense needs to have the ability to kind of put this team away. And I mean, I know they've gotten out to first quarter leads, right? Or 5 consecutive games where they've scored a touchdown in the opening drive, but the offense needs to be more consistent. Now, even in the second half where they scored 3 consecutive drives, they were set up by a Brock Purdy interception that the offensive drive resulted in a -1 yard. They just happened to be in field goal position and they put 3 points through. So you just got to have to find more scoring drives from this offense. And when they do and match that with a defensive performance, you've seen that bodes well for the Cardinals. It seems like it's a simple, calculation, or recipe, but the Arizona Cardinals have made it tough on themselves by the offense sputtering and going stagnant after drive 1. It just they have to find some consistency here. And maybe just with the allure, playing in historic Lambeau Field, it really felt, Greg, I don't know if you felt this way, but even out in the practice field this week, they've seemed to have a lot of extra juice and that they're excited about this one going and playing against the Packers, a team that has high expectations and a great setting. And it'd be tough. It would be surprising to me if they came out flat.
Well, they wouldn't let me out on the practice field because I was stuck in Salt Lake City dealing with a different kind of pain. Okay. But thanks for taking me back to that. So
I can't take any more sadness. That's depressing, man. I encourage everybody for some Phoenix hockey therapy here to go check out the audio only podcast that PD, Craig, and Leah did. It's fantastic. And Leah in particular putting out great content. Speaking of content, check out our content, gophnx.com. Read Craig's preview article. We've got more content dropping this weekend. And the coup de grace, the cherry on top, Everybody get up early, set your alarms, and head on over to Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. I'll be there. Brack, the return of Britton Golden. Damon Dog will be back. We're going to hear from Craig live from Lambeau Field, hopefully on the field, post a dub for the Arizona Cardinals. And again, last weekend was elite, capacity crowd at Gila. We want to see you back there. Wings, nachos, vibes, etc. It's our home for away games is Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Rep your PHNX merch. Free beer from your boys.
Yeah, absolutely. And custom menus, the food and drink specials, they're unbelievable, and huge giveaways. Make sure to tune in and hang out with the huge giveaways going on. Pre-halftime, post-game shows. Don't miss it. Also, don't miss tonight. Make sure you're tuned in to PHNX Sports all late night. Johnny, are you going to make an appearance on the post-game show for the
I'm going to the ASU game tonight. I was not asked to be a part of the broadcast for ASU Sports tonight.
You were actually asked to not be part of the broadcast.
Right. Yeah, I was specifically asked not only not to be part of the broadcast, don't come anywhere near the stadium, but I will be there. If you're at the ASU game and you see me, say hello. Let's hang out.
Hey, Captain 0-10, how you doing, my man?
Rude. That's rude. You're being rude now. But in all seriousness, check out the post-game show with tonight we got like 3 post-game shows. Diamondbacks are going live, Suns are going live. And Shane, are you willing to say that if ASU beats Utah tonight at home, will they be ranked after this game?
Yeah, I think so. I think it, I was going back and forth with this today, but I mean, like you look at the opponents and you might not get excited, but this conference is crazy, and Utah is a really good team.
They are.
And plus, there just aren't that many great top 25 teams in college football right now. There's room.
If Kenny Dillingham has this team ranked 5 or 6 weeks into this season, I mean, that's just a tremendous job. And hopefully the Arizona Cardinals, Bo and Craig, can follow suit this weekend.
Hopefully the start to a fun football weekend here in the Valley of the Sun. Also could be a tough start to a rough Valley football weekend. We'll see.
Why did it have to be Utah? Why did it have to be Utah?
Can you do me a favor and tell Cam Rising to get a job? Tell him to go look on Indeed.
I think you guys are the same age, you and Cam Rising. Did you guys graduate the same year?
Trevor Lawrence, older or younger than Cam Rising?
Is he younger?
Cam Rising is older.
Wow.
Hey, Kenny Dillingham should go up to Jonathan Gannon and say, "Hey, my game is on ESPN. Your Monday Night Football game is on ESPN Plus." So,
Johnny,
yeah,
it's messed up. Kenny Dillingham was at the hockey game before his game tonight too.
Guy's unbelievable. He's
all over Michigan. That's right. Sun Devil hockey playing against Michigan right now.
Wow.
Or I guess
it's a big night in the Valley as far as sports. Make sure you, of course, subscribe to PHNX Sports. Craig, safe travels as we send you off again on the road, this time headed to Green Bay. It's going to be awesome, though. Historic Lambeau Field. That's got to be fun to have a nice little weekend for yourself. And we expect to hear great things out of the post game when you join us live. And then, Johnny, you have a good weekend as well. For Shane Diefenbach, I'm Bo Brack. Damon Dog will be back with us along with Britton Golden on Sunday, bright and early 9:30 pregame show. Join us then, won't you? Have a good rest of your weekend in between. We'll talk to you soon.
We all silly like the mayor.